Hi, grade 10. We're going to continue with the laws of logarithms in this podcast. So we're going to actually look at some examples of how we can use those laws. We'll start off quite simple. We just have log 3 plus log 5. Notice that there isn't any base written there. If there's not a base written, then in grade 10, we will assume that it is just base 10. We don't have to write the base 10. Any other base you must write. It's just that base 10 is a very common one that's used, so we get a little bit lazy. Okay, so we need to write each of these as a single logarithm. So here we have 2, so we don't want to have 2. So I'm going to write log, and remember here no basis is written, so it's base 10. You can write the 10 in, but you don't have to. And we're going to use our rule backwards. So this is 2 logs added together. That means that we must be able to write it as log, just 1 log, and then the 2 things that we take the log of multiply together. And then of course just simplify that because that's easy. And so we have 3 times 5 is 15. And that's it. That's all you have to be able to do for the moment. The second one then, here we have the 2 logs subtracted. So then the rule says we have 1 log, and when it's a subtraction, that goes with division. So we do always the first one over the second one. So 27 over 9. Again, the base is not written, so we assume it's base 10, so you don't have to write it in. And once again, just make sure you simplify. 27 divided by 9 is 3. And that's it. So that's the simplest type. Let's do a whole combination of things now. So here, in the first expression, we have 3 log 2. So we don't want to have that 3 out the front, because the log rule only works like this addition one. There are no numbers out the front of the log. And so it needs to be the same anytime you want to use the product or quotient log rule. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of that 3, or move it, not necessarily get rid of. So what we do, we use the power rule. So if there's a number at the front, we can bring it up the top and make it the exponent plus, and we'll just keep the other ones as they are for the moment, minus log 8. Okay, now we're going to use our log rules. So we'll do one at a time. So here we have the addition of 2 logs. So we know that's the product rule, the product log rule. And so this is 2 to the power of 3, which is 8. And then we multiply that by the 4. So that's writing it as 1 log. And we'll just write the log 8. And then now we have 2 logs being subtracted. We treat this as one thing because we could write it as one number. 8 times 4 is 32. Now they're being subtracted. So to write it as 1 log, we just divide. So 32 divided by 8. So write it as just 1 log. And then of course always simplify it as much as you can. 32 divided by 8 is 4. Now I did that in 4 steps, but some of this might be able to be reduced. Probably in 2 steps is perfectly acceptable. Okay, and then our last example here, now we just have x's and y's, but we follow exactly the same rules. So all these numbers out the front, they need to be moved because we can only use the addition and subtraction rules if it's just log. So let's first of all move those back up to the power. So we have log of x to the power of 2 minus log of y to the power of 3 plus log of xy all to the power of 2. Okay, now we use our log rules again, the addition and subtraction ones. So here we have a subtraction, so that means we divide. So we're going to have log of x squared over y cubed. That needs to go in brackets. Plus log of, while I'm here, I might just expand this because it's x times y to the power of 2. And we know from our exponential rules that each of the things inside need to be squared. So I'm going to write that instead as x squared, y squared. And then lastly, we now have 2 logs being added. So we can write it as 1 log where we have a product. So we have x squared over y cubed is going to be multiplied by x squared over y squared. And you can see we're using the exponential rules quite a bit here because we need to do some simplification. So here we multiply, that's over 1. So we multiply the x squared, so we'll get x to the power of 4. And then here we'll have y squared over y cubed, which is just y. Of course, you could write that as y to the power of -1, but it's always a bit neater to not have negative exponents and to just then write it as one single log with one fraction without having negatives. Okay, hopefully that's some help.